Hello everyone, welcome back. I'm glad you are here. Today we'll discuss why Sling models are essential with HTL. HTL, as we discussed earlier in the last video, is HTML template language. So we were confused between like if we can do the same thing using HTL, then why the Sling model is required, right? So today we'll discuss and we'll try to understand why Sling models are required with HTL. So first of all, if you have any query regarding HTL, please review my earlier video on HTL and then come to this video. And please feel free to post any question on the comment section so that I can take it further. Alright, so let's move further. So why we need Sling models? So first of all, HTL is a template language, right? It's basically for presentation layer, while Sling model are used for business logic. See, HTL cannot handle the complex logic, complex business logic. It can give you presentation and it can add I mean it can give you automatic access protection. That's okay, and can handle various other things. But see, we as when we work on a web page, like there comes like front end and back end, so you can see like HTL is very good at presentation layer, while Sling is for business logic. We write business logic in Java, and through Sling models we can get those datas. Okay, so here we have listed table of contents, like what the common question, HTL's intention, limitation, why Sling models are necessary. Then we'll see the real world examples, what are the architectural benefits of using Sling models. Then we'll cover a little bit of best practices, common misconceptions around HTL and Sling models, and then we'll conclude. So remember guys, like this is just a basic lecture. We'll just try to discover why Sling models are essential with HTL, right? It's not a deep dive, but if you feel like you need further discussion on this topic, please let us know, and we'll try to make another video on this. Okay, so let's move further. So the common question around it, why do we need Sling models when HTL can handle things, right? That's a good question. So this is one of the most frequent questions from developer who are new to AEM, even who are experienced as well can get this question, why you need Sling models. Even I interview, this question can be asked in interview as well, like when HTL is working so perfect, then why the need of Sling models, right? So at first glance, like HTL seems capable of accessing properties and displaying data directly. So why add another layer of complexity with Sling models, right? You need to manage Sling models, and there are various other things. So why Sling models, right? So the answer lies in understanding that STL was intentionally designed to be logicless for very good architectural reasons, right? We'll see why. So we'll see first the intentional limitation. Like when we say like STL was intentionally designed to be logicless, what's the reason behind this? So let's, like what HTL can do. So it has limited scope. So but it has its own advantages as well. So HTL excels at simple data process, access and presentation, right? Like if you need to access the basic properties, like what is the title of this page, so we can use like properties dot title and we can get the title of the page. Then if we have to use conditional statement, like what is the properties dot show content, so if that property, if the I mean if the if this content exists, then only this condition will be met and it will be shown, otherwise it will not be shown, right? This we already discussed in our previous lecture. Then basic iteration, data slide list, like this too. Then context aware about output skipping, and then including other components and templates, right? So these are the intentional limitation, you can say. It has limited scope, but what STL cannot or should not do, right? Like STL intentionally lacks capabilities for complex business logic and calculation, right? It cannot do complex business logic and calculation on the web pages, right? You need to do this in your handle using business logic using Java code. Okay, STL cannot do data transformation and formatting. It cannot make external service calls and cannot do API integration, right? It cannot do the database queries and data aggregation. It cannot do the date and number formatting, right? It cannot do image processing and URL manipulation. It cannot do content validation and sanitization, and it cannot also do caching and performance optimization, right? Even if it can do, it should not do because it is STL is not meant to do these things, right? So if you see simple STL example, what not to do. So if you see, like here we are getting properties.title. Here we'll get the title of this page. Then properties.publish raw data, no formatting, right? So if you get here properties.link path. So so suppose what happens if it does not have the external link, then what will happen, right? So that's the reason it should not STL is not meant to do these things. Okay, now we'll come to the next part, why sling models are necessary. So first of all, and the most important thing, handling the complex logic. STL cannot perform complex calculations or business logic. So what we can do, that in that case we have solution, we can use sling models. Sling models handle this in Java where it belongs. Using sling model we can segregate our presentation logic and business logic, so that front end developers can focus on STL writing STL, and the backend developer can focus on writing sling models in the Java, right? So we'll see the small example of handling complex logic example. We'll see, like here we have written the code, a little bit code. So value map, okay, we'll review it later on. I think, okay, okay, now guys, see, with the clean sling model we can write the clean STL. Like we can use the model, data slide use model, and we have article model here which we can use here. Like see, I mean that's right, I was checking this model and I was confused, so sorry for that. So you see guys, we have written the business logic in the sling model. We have created one class and we have defined those logic in this class, and and when we using STL like template we can call those classes and can get the value. And see, this is very clean. But if we mix these things in the, then it will be, I mean, more problematic and it will not look clean as well, right? So it's better to segregate those things, write presentation logic in STL and business logic in sling model. Okay, its second benefit, code organization and maintainability. Like benefit of separation comes, like the front end developer will write STL template, they can manage their code in for front end. Similarly, backend developer can focus on writing sling models and can manage their codes there. Okay, so like Java handles logic, STL handles presentation, as we already discussed it. Then backend and front-end developer can work independently. Models can be shared across multiple components, of course. And first and the most important, easier debugging. Like we blame each other, like front-end developers is this issue belongs to front-end developers or back-end developers. Here we have the clear isolation, and we can easily identify if it is front-end error or back-end error, or right. And version control, changes to logic don't affect templates and vice versa, right? Please let me know if you have any concern here. Moving forward, like the third, enhanced testability. Sling models can be unit test independently without requiring a full AEM instance. So it's very good while doing Sonar Cube. I mean, running unit test using Sonar Cube or any other method. Here we have written unit text example. Will not go into deep as it's a basic lecture only, right? The fourth advantage, external service integration. STL cannot make external API calls or interact with OSGI services, right? Sling model does this, and it excels at this thing. Sorry, guys. Like here, you can see like we have a model which is for weather service, and through Sling model we can call this model and can get the data, right? Then fifth advantage, content as a service, JSON export. Using Sling model, you can get the data in JSON format, or using exporter module, we can automatically provide JSON APIs for your components, right? So see here we have written some Sling model logic, and our data can be served as a JSON using like this path. So we'll see some real world examples, like without Sling model. Like if we try to use HTL and we don't have Sling model, so like we have like current page dot list children. So how do we check if page is hidden in navigation, or what happen if we don't get the proper URLs? How to determine if, I mean, if this is in active state or whatever, it can happen, right? But when we write, I mean, use Sling model, it is, the code becomes clean and robust. Like here you can see this is a Java model where all the informations are, I mean, logics are already written, and using HTL template we can call those items like get navigation item. So navigation items is in written in Java model. Using HTL template we can get this item. Okay, I hope uh, it's clear to you guys. Please feel free to let me know if you have any doubts or any query on these topics. Okay, so we'll see the architecture, like clean architecture with Sling models using HTML template, presentation layer. Okay, pure HTML. Using Sling model, business logic layer written in Java classes. Okay, and AEM repository is data layer, which is, I mean, JCR content. So here you can see like clear separation, data layer, business logic layer, and presentation layer, right? we'll see we'll now see some key architectural advantages. Without Sling model, logic mixed with presentation requires full AEM instance. A logic duplicated across templates is like there could be instances where same logic needs to be added on the other, but you might duplicate it. Okay, then it becomes complex. I mean, complex templates, it becomes hard to debug, and then front end back end conflicts, right? But when you use Sling models, you get clear separation maintained, unit test without AEM, models are shared across components, optimized business logic, right? Clear error handling and logging, which we discussed, and independent development, of course, right? Front end development developer can write their own code, and back end developer can write their own code, right? Best practices we'll now see. Model design principle, like each model should handle one component's logic, expose read only properties to templates, fail gracefully, always provide fallback values, cache appropriately for expensive operations, and check for null or empty values. And for STL template guidelines, only presentation logic allowed, focus on structure and accessibility. Complex operation belong in models, so you don't need to write here. Always check for null or empty content. Okay. Then we'll review the common misconceptions around it. The first myth: Sling models add unnecessary complexity. But in reality, they reduce complexity by organizing code properly and making it maintainable, right? Then, second myth: STL can do everything I need. STL is intentionally limited so that complex scenarios require proper business logic handling, and that can be added in the Sling models, right? Then, third myth: models hurt performance. It's not true. Well designed models improve performance by caching and optimizing data, right? Then it's overkill for simple components. Even simple components benefit from the structure and testability model provides. Okay, so I hope you guys are enjoying this lecture. So now we have come to end of this lecture. So we'll conclude these things. So STL and Sling models are not competing technologies. They are not against each other. They are complementary parts of a well-designed architecture. STL excels at secure rendering, clean markup, context-aware escaping, right? While Sling models excels at business logic, data processing, external integration, and testability. Together, they create a robust, maintainable, and secure foundation for AEM application. Right. So, what are the key takeaways here? So, first, separation of concerns. STL handles presentation, Sling models handle logic. Right. Business logic is properly isolated and validated, so it provides enhanced security. Beta testing, unit test can be verified logic without full AIM instances. Team productivity. Front end and back end developers can work independently. They don't need to wait for back end developer to write the code and then they will write the code for front end. Similarly, back end developer don't need to wait for front end developer. They can work independently. Okay. And first, and then it future proof architecture. It follows Adobe's recommended patterns, and then it headless ready, automatic JSON export capabilities for modern architectures. Okay, so remember guys, STL plus Sling models are the best practice. So my review this statement: don't fight the architecture, embrace it. The combination of STL secure templating with Sling models, robust business logic handling creates applications that are not just functional but maintainable, testable, and scalable. So that's all for this lecture, guys. I hope the session is informative and helpful to you to understand why we need Sling models when we have STL. So I hope I was able to clear few doubts regarding it, and I hope you'll make most of what out of it. Okay, thanks a lot, everyone, and it was lovely joining with you all, guys. Thank you, and have a lovely day. Bye bye.